Are you ready to get your health back but feel overwhelmed by the endless healthcare options? We believe God has called each of us to a specific assignment, and we want to make sure your body, mind, and heart are up for the task. It's time to simplify the process of healing. At Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer simple, effective, easy ways to prioritize your health and gain understanding. No prescription pad needed. I'm Kari, Coody, a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner. I'm so excited to have these conversations around topics with my friend, Jenn.
Hi there, I'm Jenn, and together with our team at Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer an alternative to traditional healthcare, combining our expertise and experience in the medical field with our knowledge and faith to break the cycles of guessing what's wrong. We know the road to healing, feeling good again, can be overwhelming. You can expect honest conversations around the ups and downs of healing. The truth is, there are so many layers to healing. Because we've taken the time to learn where true healing comes from, we've learned how to help other women discover a different way of caring for themselves. Join us every week for new episodes as we discuss topics that are personal and pertinent to your healing journey.
Hey there, and welcome back into the podcast. It is Kari and Jenn here, and we are on episode 33 of season 3. We're excited that you're here for this conversation today, whether you're joining for the first time or maybe you've been following along for a while. Welcome. So we thought it would be fun to kind of answer some of the harder questions maybe that people have and that we see, and just bring them to light and maybe help you to realize that these things that you're not alone in having these questions or these experiences. So today, we're going to kind of talk about why sometimes people feel worse when they start to heal. Whenever, people come to us and they're just desperate for healing and they just want to feel better as soon as possible, which we definitely understand. But we have really been just wanting to talk about some of these things to help people understand what the process of healing is and just create hopefully a better expectation, because I think expectations are huge when you just in life in general, right? If we have incorrect expectations, we're going to be disappointed. So we've really been thinking about that. So this was one of the ones that we wanted to chat with you guys about. So I just wonder, as you're listening, like, have you ever had this happen to you? Maybe it was it could have been a new diet, new exercise plan. Maybe you're working with a practitioner and you have like this plan that you're going to follow, and you're feeling hopeful, but like only a few days or weeks in, you just start feeling worse. And, I think what goes through our mind oftentimes is like, am I doing something wrong, or should I stop? Or maybe my body's just not meant to heal, which is completely from the enemy. So we're going to reject that. A lot of times though, it's probably, I must be doing something wrong, because we just, especially as women, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to like do things perfectly for whatever reason. But we want you to know that this is actually common, because some things are happening in your body whenever you begin to give it energy to heal. And oftentimes, we try to obviously minimize this from happening by following a certain order of things and not trying to do too many things at one time. But the fact is, we don't really know how somebody's body is going to respond to various things that we might ask them to do. So,
Right.
Jenn, were you going to start on the kind of examples of what could be happening if you start to feel worse after you start a plan?
Yeah. So, I just want to say, healing does stir up in the body what is a process of, um, change for the body and, healing. Right. And so our normal thought is, okay, suppress that, right? To make
Yeah,
us comfortable, right? Because we want to be comfortable.
that's true.
But what we have to understand is when we suppress the symptoms, sometimes we suppress the change and
Mm.
prolong the change instead of, the paradigm being support and encourage the change, what the body's trying to do, address the shock resulting from the change. So allow the body to complete the disease process, and resolve it instead of keeping it in a perpetual just kind of maintenance of, I always use the example, the oil light comes on in your car. And, most people mainstream is to put duct tape over the oil light, right? You can't
That
see
just
the
doesn't
light.
make any sense,
Right,
right?
it doesn't, right. But that's equivalent to what we do. Instead of saying, "Okay, why did the oil light come on?" Or, why is the body
Yeah,
giving us these things? And so, we just wanna talk about why symptoms might flare, kind of in the first place. And that could be, um because of the body not having the energy to heal, the right nutrients, the right minerals. What happens was when you start to ask the body to heal is you unmask some hidden deficiencies and might create some short-term discomfort. Do we always keep that in the back of our head? What does the body need to heal? Yes, of course.
yeah,
That's why we always start with minerals, because that really is the catalyst for every reaction. And so if we're asking the body to do something, we want to make sure that it has the catalyst to do that.
yeah.
Do you want to talk about drainage?
Yeah, of course. Um, and it's funny, even on the previous episode that we just recorded, we might sound like a broken record. Um, Minerals, blood sugar, drainage
Right.
pathways, but these things are time and time again, just they prove to be absolutely non-negotiable. If you're
Foundational.
foundational, I mean, and I get you've probably heard those things, but you've heard them from us and maybe others for a reason. It's because I know personally I've tried to do things maybe my own way or following a different route, and it didn't go well. And so you have to then stop, try not to get frustrated, but stop and just say, like, why is my body responding like this? Not from a frustrated, let me fix it mentality, but a curious mentality, and oftentimes this is why it's so helpful to have somebody guide you, because if you're trying to figure everything out, it is frustrating. And sometimes you just can't take a big enough step back because you're just so in your symptoms, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but but yes, as Jen said, drainage pathways are huge because, you know, I mean, I would say nine times out of 10, if somebody comes to us and they have multiple symptoms going on, it's detox related in some way. They might not have a huge pathogen load, but if you're stressed and if you're mineral depleted and if you're just not well fueled, then your detox pathways and your drainage pathways aren't going to be working properly because they don't have the raw materials to work. So that's definitely one thing that we always make sure, by signs and symptoms, and sometimes obviously if we have the lab tests back and such, just to see what the whole picture is telling us and which one of those systems maybe needs the most support. But in the whole picture, it's all working together, right? I think sometimes we can compartmentalize different things and try to chase different symptoms in different areas of the body, and organ systems. But looking at especially the drainage system as a whole is really important when you think about healing and hopefully eliminating or decreasing some of those symptoms you might feel.
Yeah. So drainage and detox pathways are our body has specific systems that eliminate waste. So the lymph system, the bile is how we get rid of it through the digestive system. So the bile is produced in the liver and stored in the gallbladder. So we want to make sure bile flow is good. We want to make sure lymphatics are moving. So simple walking, 15 minutes to a half hour, manual lymphatic drainage. The lungs, the skin, those are all pathways for drainage also. So we have to make sure that, none of those organs are impaired and are working the way that they need to. One of the main things that we see with skin issues is their drainage pathways are backed up. Their kidneys, their liver, are usually backed up. So this is something that kind of like mainstream medicine doesn't really address, is the drainage. And it's a basic naturopathic philosophy that you have to open up these pathways. And so you'll see a lot of times in our protocols, we'll use liver support, we'll use kidney support, we'll use lymph support. Or products very specific for drainage because this is so important.
Yeah. So that's a huge piece for sure. And as you've kind of already alluded to, the body does need energy to heal. Um, But, I just think about sometimes that you get a burst of energy and then you use it all up. That's a
Yeah,
thing
that's
too.
common.
Yeah, that is
I
common.
always
So,
tell people we're going to put gas in the tank, but don't spend all the gas.
right.
Your body needs some of it to heal.
Yeah. Um, also, a big piece that we focus on at first is calming down the nervous system response. So I don't know that I've ever seen a client that wasn't more so dominant on that activation of their nervous system, and you cannot heal in that space. It's just not possible. Your body is in a survival state, and it will not heal. So that's a really big piece to this, and sometimes. When we're, guiding clients through kind of calming down their nervous system and moving more from a survival mode to a safety mode, emotions can surface and even symptoms too. And it's kind of crazy, but if your body's been in that mode for so long, there's probably been things that have just been suppressed that are needing to come out. And so, yeah, that's a whole thing that you might not have ever thought about.
Yes. And then probably what's the probably most common and people have probably heard of is what's called the temporary die-off or the Herxheimer reaction. And this is when pathogens or infections, things like mold, parasites, especially candida and fungus, feel the effects of their die-off, right? And that's the toxins that these pathogens release. And they're super toxic for us, especially like with candida. You'll feel the fatigue and the brain fog. You feel fuzzy. Parasites, you might feel the nausea. Your stools could get loose. So this is what's called the Herx response or the Herxheimer response, and it is a detox response. And that's what we do is try to minimize that as much as possible with opening up the drainage. But sometimes you're still going to get some of that.
Yeah, but hopefully not
So
severe.
what's that?
I'm just saying, hopefully not severe.
Right, hopefully not severe. And if
Yeah,
it is severe, then we just slow down the dosage that, sometimes we use some things to target these pathogens. We slow down
yeah,
the dosage to make you more comfortable. So that's why we just, ask for a lot of communication so we know.
right.
Sometimes it just takes, being off of those products for 3 days, upping your drainage, and then starting back at half the dose to make you more comfortable. And that's okay, depending on where you are. If you're, high stress, if you are severely depleted in nutrients, we always, are aware of that and needing to go slower. But if you're getting a reaction, that's a good thing. No change is when we get worried. But if you're having a symptom change, whether it's bad, you're reacting, right? Or it's good, things are improving, that's great because that means the body's working, right?
Mhm.
Um, it's when, we're symptom free, that we think, oh, it's working. That's not always the case.
Right. I think so much of this is mindset and to expectations, I think we want it to look like we're in a valley and we want to get to the top of the mountain and feel better.
Yes.
But,
Yes.
yeah, there's lots of switchbacks and, it's just, dips and peaks and all the things. And that's extremely normal. And I think so much of switching your mindset is just realizing that your body wants to heal. Like, it's literally made to heal. It's not broken, and you're not like some kind of anomaly that, your body's not going to heal. We just have to find out what it wants because it's telling us, even with what quote bad symptoms, it's definitely giving us signs. We just have to listen and adjust accordingly.
Yeah. And, sometimes feeling worse is the nudge just to slow down,
Yeah.
be gentler with yourself, not
What a
give up.
concept.
I
What a
I know, right?
concept.
We're like, just push through.
Right.
That
No.
right. We don't want to blindly push through. But also not don't just quit too, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a happy medium. So we just want to encourage you that if you are in this space of healing, the healing work is holy work, right? And it can be hard work, really hard
Yeah.
work. And sometimes just sit in those hard emotions that are coming up when you're healing. You might be processing things that you might not have had the energy or wherewithal to do before. So, it's not a quick fix. This is about, wholeness physically, emotionally, spiritually, and that takes time and a little bit of attention and awareness. And so we just want to encourage you that even if it feels messy, if it feels frustrating, that we're with you, God's with you, He sees you, He sees the struggles, and that your symptoms are not always setbacks, right? They're invitations to just go a little bit deeper or maybe change course a little bit, and just be really attentive to your needs, right? Which I don't think we're so great at doing. And then preaching to myself.
Yeah. I think so much is about it is being more gentle with ourselves. We as women, we do wear a lot of hats, and that's not a bad thing, but we have to take care of ourselves before we can really take care of other people well. I mean, that's just, if you want to be a better mom and wife and neighbor, you have to slow down and really, what I've realized is God is totally doing your physical symptoms are there because He wants to get your attention a lot of times. Maybe not every single time, but there's definitely almost always a spiritual and emotional connection to physical things that are showing up. So as Jenn mentioned, it's definitely holy work, and we can't tell you that it's always going to be easy. It's probably not, but if you're walking with us, you're not alone, and we're going to be there. Or if things pop up, pointing you to Him first and foremost, but giving you tools to work through it. And that's really what we all need, right? We need encouragement. We need truth from Scripture and sometimes tools to work through those things. So we hope this was encouraging to you. Our heart is that you would heal fully on all those levels. And our goal is always to point you to Him because He's the ultimate healer. So we hope this was encouraging, and we would love to continue this conversation or pray with you if you're really struggling in this, or if you have questions about what's next in your health. Definitely schedule a free call with us. We'd love to connect with you. Thanks for joining. We'll see you on the next episode.
If this episode has served you in any way, drop a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd love it if you share any aha moments or takeaways on Instagram and tag us at Cornerstone Integrative Healing.
And if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do so. We want to continue to walk this journey with you. Until next time, friends, know that we are praying for you.